Good morning, 4th grade. It's Mrs. Boswell, and we're going to be doing Hurricanes, Earth's Mightiest Storms. It says, I can use the text to find details about an informational story. So the day before, we were using text features to find details. Today, we're just going to use just the text to find details. What are details again? Remember, details are a small piece of information found within a text, photographs, and illustrations. Okay? Our details are the supporting details that help us find what is the main idea, what is the text mostly about. And I always think of details as our clues, looking at titles and headings. I'm looking for repeated words, and looking at the pictures are some of my details, okay, or clues that will give me my main idea. So again, we're focusing on details. So here's our first one. It says, what information did we learn from this text? So I'm going to read this text, then we're going to find out what information did I learn. So the making of a hurricane. Great whirling storms roar out of the oceans in many parts of the world. They are called by several names. Hurricane, typhoon, and cyclone are the three most familiar ones. But no matter what they are called, they are all the same sort of storm. They are born the same way in tropical waters. They develop the same way, feeding on warm, moist air. And they do the same kind of damage, both ashore and at sea. Other storms may cover a big area or have higher winds, but none can match both the size and the fury of hurricanes. They are Earth's mightiest storms. Like all storms, they take place in the atmosphere, the envelope of air that surrounds the Earth and pressures on its surface. The pressure at any one place is always changing. There are days when the air is sinking and the atmosphere pressure is harder on the surface. There are times of high pressure. There are days when a lot of air is rising and the atmosphere does not press down as hard. There are times of low pressure. Low pressure areas over warm oceans give birth to oceans. Hurricane. So what information did I learn from the text? Well, here are some of the things that I listed. Whirling storms roar out of the oceans. They're born from tropical waters. The same kind of damage can be on shore and at sea. Like all storms, they take place in the atmosphere. There's low pressure, high pressure, and low pressure over warm oceans give birth to hurricanes. Those are just some of the texts that I found. I know there was a lot more, but I just listed a few. The next piece says, no one knows exactly what happens to start these storms, but when conditions are right, warm, moist air is set in motion. It begins to rise rapidly from the surface of the ocean in a low-pressure area. Like water in a hose, air flows from where there is more pressure to where there is less pressure. And so over the surface of the ocean, air flows into the low-pressure area, picking up moisture as it travels. This warm, moist air soars upwards. As the air rises above the earth, it cools. The cooling causes moisture to condense into tiny droplets of water that form clouds. As the moisture condenses, it gives off heat. Heat is one kind of energy. It is the energy that powers the storm. The clouds are the source of the storm's rain. So there was quite a lot of information here, so I just took a few. It says warm air rises rapidly from the surface of the ocean in low pressure. Okay, that came from paragraph 1. Air is moving from one pressure to another. That kind of came from this one. Air picks up moisture as it travels. Moist warm air soars upwards and cools. And the moisture condenses and gives off heat. Those are just some of the things that I found from these 3 paragraphs, or the text of it. The text. Here's our next one. The low pressure area acts like a chimney. Warm air is drawn in at the bottom, rises in a column, cools, and spreads out. As the air inside rises and moves, and more air is drawn in, the storm grows. The air being drawn in, however, does not travel in a straight line. The Earth's surface is rotating, and the rotation causes the path to curve. The air travels in a spiral within the storm. In the northern hemisphere, the spiraling winds travel counterclockwise, the opposite of the way the hands on a clock move. In the southern hemisphere, they travel clockwise, like the way the hands on a clock move. Most of these storms die out within hours or days of their birth. only about 1 out of 10 grows into an actual hurricane. So from this text, here's some evidence I found. The storm grows as more air rises. The air does not travel in a straight line, it rotates due to the Earth's rotation. Most storms die out within an hour or days of its birth, and only 1 out of 10 hurricanes grows out of these clouds. Today, you are going to be doing 4 more of these on your own. You're going to read the text and then write down the information that we learned. So do that with this page, world names, into the eye of the storm, and the last piece is just a little bit more. Okay, and then you will do that on your own today. So you're going to read the text and then write down the evidence that you learned. Good luck today.